Hi, everybody. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, not that one. Hi, everybody. We're just going to wait a little bit to make sure everyone has a chance to log in that wants to log in before we get started. There we go. Found my log post. I don't know what's going on there today. How are you all doing today? Go. Whoops. You just got home from work. Ugh, it's late. Hi, Nancy. Oh, yes, we had such beautiful weather here today. Oh, Central Time. Okay, well, that's still kind of late, 7 p.m. We had wonderful, beautiful, rainy monsoon weather here in New Jersey today. Lots of flash flood warnings and alerts, and colder weather than we had the last couple of days. So, yeah, not so super fun, but still beats what you guys had out in the Midwest if any of you were in the blizzard. So, yeah, I'm not complaining about that too much because I don't want any of that. Hi, Donna. How's the weather over in your neck of the woods? Yeah, crappy, rainy. Yeah, it's crappy and rainy here too. But tomorrow is supposed to be a little bit nicer, but cold. So, sleet and hail. Ugh, yucky, yucky. Okay. Somebody asked me what was I stitching on today. So far, I've been working on my Phoenix. I started doing some of the back stitch today. I've also been doing a little bit of knitting. So that is what I've been working on today. So if y'all noticed in the Friday Off the Grid group, I posted again that I was looking for some questions and answers. You're welcome to answer some or ask some questions on here as to if it has to do with it. I'm going to answer the questions that were posted on the Facebook stream first, but if they have to do with what we're talking about, I'll be glad to answer your questions in our feed here, and I will read them as we go along because it seems like YouTube still doesn't have a right to show the chat from this to as it processes and puts it onto my channel permanently. So far, I'm liking the accentuate. Who asked that? I just saw that. Julie asks, how do you like the accentuate? So far, I like it. I'm doing 2 strands It is a bit hard to see in sections, but I'm okay with that because especially with the outline of the phoenix, because I don't want too much. I just want a hint of glimmer. So far I'm liking it. I will be showing you guys in my update on Wednesday. Okay, so right away, do you go by Trish? I see on here you're Trish. So I'm guessing it's Trish, but on Facebook you're Patricia. Yes, Trish. Okay. So Trish asks, and she was all upset because she's like, I know it's about Henry again, but these were actually really good questions. So thank you, Trish, for breaking the ice with the questions today. She had two questions. Number one is, are you going to hang Henry up eventually when you get him fully finished? Yes. If I'm still living in the same place by the time I get him done, I have a place planned out for him in my living room. I will plan to get him professionally framed because the size of a project of that size and magnitude needs to be done, in my opinion, professionally done because I don't need to be framing that myself. I don't mind doing the small stuff, but I don't have the patience or the I don't have the willpower to do a large project myself. So I will definitely be getting that professionally framed. Secondly, would you ever do a companion piece to him if there was one available? And that has come up multiple times, not necessarily here, but in other like in comments and such. Would I do a companion piece? Yes, because other people have suggested maybe doing the Queen Elizabeth the First, that a that Heaven and Earth has, and I do like that one. It's a whole lot of white. I don't know if I would want to do that much white. Not that I have a problem with doing white 1/1, but because the stitches wouldn't bother me. That like the way the stitches lay wouldn't bother me, but I think I would have a problem doing a lot of white because it's a lot. Her dress is white, and I think that would get to bother me. Yeah, I agree, Donna. She said, yeah, it's definitely worth it to get it professionally done. Yeah, I agree. It's just it's worth it whenever it's that big of a project, and especially I think when you put that much time and effort into a project, I think it's worth the expense to do a large project like that professionally framed. I don't mind spending it whenever I put hours and hours and years into a project like that. So, wonderful questions, Trish. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Um, so, yeah, I've considered doing another portrait such as Queen Elizabeth. I think I would need to take a break and do something else for a while. Maybe, in my retirement years, I might do a second portrait type thing, but I wouldn't want to do another portrait right off the bat. So, what if you did Elizabeth on different color fabric? Well, the thing is that if you do it on different color fabric, it's still a full coverage piece, so it wouldn't really matter if I did another Heaven and Earth like that because you're not going to see the fabric. So, yeah, and I do need to find a good framer around here. I haven't found a framer that would be, yeah, I have to find a good framer. But my LNS, Nimble Needle, has some suggestions for me. I just haven't had anything that I've wanted to get professionally framed yet. So, anyways, good. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Linda asks, blah, blah, blah. What fabrics do you like to work on? Even weave, linen, or Aida, and why? I like to work on all of them. I am not particular to one or any of them. I like the higher count fabrics the best just because I like doing stitching with one strand of whatever I'm working with or stitching 1/1. So while I don't mind stitching on Ada, okay, let's start here. I like stitching on Ada because it's simple for me. It's kind of like a relaxation stitch because I don't have to think, I don't have to worry about finding the correct hole. The holes are there, it's easy to find. I don't have to stress or think too hard to do the stitching. I like stitching on even weave because I like the look of the evenness of the stitches. So if I do stitch on a linen, I prefer my linen to be less slubby and more on the even side. So I prefer like the Zweigarts just because they seem to be less slubby like that. Um, but whenever it does come to linens, I like the higher counts. I like the 36. Well, I like 40, and I do have some 46 that I'm going to try, and I'm looking forward to that. And next time I go to Stitchville in October, I might look for something higher than 46. Had no idea what I would stitch on it, but I'm going to look at it. Hi, Alyssa. Or is it Elisa? Alyssa or Elisa? I'm horrible with names. Okay. Anyways, I get distracted easily with that. Okay. So I hope that answers Linda's question. But I like all kinds of fabrics. I'm not particular. I think it has to do more so with the pattern than what I'm stitching on. So Stitching Donna asks, would you say there's a big difference in the bigger counts? My highest is 30 count, 32 count. Would love to try higher. What I like about the higher count fabrics is the fact that I can stitch with one thread. I like I like the way that my floss lays better. I like the fact that it uses less floss, so I'm more fiscally conservative. I like the smaller count, or I like the smaller sizes of the finished projects. So that's my plus. I have good eyesight right now, and I don't need to have magnification. So I want to stitch on those while I can without having to worry about straining my eyes, because I know that's not going to last forever. Hi, Heather, Confetti Stitcher, and thank you, Elisa. Well, I'm not Scottish, but I do like to pinch my pennies where I can. Okay, anyways. Okay. How do you, Misty asks, how do you stay motivated on your full coverage projects? And I laugh. I put LOL on the thread. Currently, I'm not very motivated. There for a while, I was very motivated. I pulled Henry out this last week. I worked on him for a while, and now he's laying up against my couch close by, hoping that I will get motivated by him being in near proximity, but I'm not very motivated. And I don't know if it's just because there's so much other stuff that I want to work on right now. I don't know if it's because there's a whole lot of other stuff going on in life right now, and the thought of working on such a large piece is overwhelming me. I don't know if it's because I have a lot going on in my mind regarding designing, and I have some projects on the go with that it might be overwhelming me to the point where I don't want to work on them. So I'm not going to. And whenever I get the motivation, then I have them close by and I will pull them out. and it will come. This happened before in January. I tried to work on him a little bit. I put him away, and then in February I got full steam and I got 2 pages done. So hoping that will happen again soon. But I'm not going to stress myself out about it because I think that was also demotivating myself. Yes, I make up words and I don't care. Um, I'm hoping that, yeah, I don't want to stress myself out to the point where I don't ever want to work on him anyways. So there you go. D Park says, I think doing bigger projects is for fall and winter and spring and summer is for smaller projects. Well, I like doing big projects all the time. So all of my projects are big for the most part, but Henry would be my biggest. So, okay. Carrie asks, do you think you would ever get a photo of Geo and convert it to cross stitch? I could. I don't know if there would be an interest or a large enough interest to do that to make it worthwhile. I have plenty of photos of Geo. So, anyways, I could consider it. I don't know. If there's interest, then maybe. Um, Stitching Donna says switching projects to smalls in between full coverage is a massive motivator for me. Feels like it's fresh again, and that's what I do a lot too. But I haven't been working on Henry for a month now, and then I pulled him back out because I was in the mood to, and then I started, and I just didn't feel like it. So yeah, no, not really interested. So yeah, maybe a geo pattern. I don't know. Would somebody be interested in a full coverage geo or a larger full coverage geo design? I don't know. Maybe. Uh, okay. Elisa asks, has it ever crossed your mind to become a cross-stitch needlepoint shop owner? At this stage in my life, I don't think I could. I don't think I could. Um, Firstly, that's a huge commitment, and I am fairly settled into my day job now where I'm comfortable with a comfortable, how do I want to put this? Um, let's see. I'm settled in my job and I like my job. Would I consider it? Yes. Is there a large enough, I would be very hesitant to do a brick and mortar store this day and age just because of the way retail is going to begin with. Thank you, Elisa. I think I would. I'm a cool guy anyway, so yeah, I probably would be a cool owner. I'm just joking, but I do like what I'm doing, Susanna, and I like what I do, and I like cross stitch as a hobby, and I don't know if I would want to have it as full time. If I had it as full time, I don't know if I would like it as much. And I wouldn't have the time to stitch on the things that I want to stitch on as much because I would have to be at the shop all the time working. So I hope that answers your question, but I wouldn't not consider it down the road. I just don't think this is the time in my life that I would be ready to do that. Nicole asks, do you take stitching on the go to work on the outside of the house? If so, what's your kit like? I do typically no, I do not take stitching with me. I can't take stitching with me to work because I don't get a break at work. When I get to work, I'm with students until I leave work. So I do not get time. And whenever I don't have students at work, I'm doing paperwork. So I have a time, I have about a half hour, 40 minutes in the beginning of the day, and I have a half hour to an hour at the end of the day that I do not have students. So I do not, other than that, I'm with the students the entire day. So I eat lunch with the students. I don't get any breaks. So I don't have an opportunity to have stitching during the day. I think about stitching during the day, but I don't have stitching during the day. So the only time that I've ever taken stitching with me outside of work is either when I've gone to a friend's house to watch TV, which now I take knitting because it's easier to transport knitting and I don't have to have as much lighting. Sorry, Karen, I will look back in there here in a second. And I've taken it in the car whenever I don't have to drive, and I drive all the way across Pennsylvania to my family's house. And then, of course, I take it whenever I go on vacation to my family's house, and I'm sitting around for a long time. So, but no, for the most part, I stitch at home. I take my knitting with me to my friend's house when I go out to watch TV or do whatever I'm doing there. Okay, let me scroll up here to find Karen. Hi, okay. Like stitching with one thread, is that over? Yes, Karen. Whenever I mean with one thread, it depends upon the count if I'm doing it over one or over two. On the higher counts, I would do it over two because 40 count, I would do 1 over 2. I'm currently doing my secret stitch. It's 1 over 1 on 32 count. Does that answer your question? Okay. If that's not your, if I didn't answer your question, Karen, please let me know. And real quick, I'll answer Robert's, and then I want to get back to the last 2 questions on here, and then I'll be glad to answer anybody else's questions. So, okay, cool, awesome, Karen, thank you, and congrats on being retired and being a teacher. Oh, I'm not worried about, I love my job, so it's fun. It is a lot of hard work, but it's a lot. And we're going to talk about that here in a second because I think that has to do with one of the next questions. But Robert asks, what is your preferred scroll frame to use? I'm trying to figure out an easier way to do my Big Hade Heaven and Earth design Stitcher's Retreat piece. I like the Almanac frames, which I believe are, I just call them Almanac. I know that's not the actual name of the frame, but it's almanac.com, or just search Almanac in Google. I will type it here, Omanik. There you go, Almanac. That's what I like. They come from Estonia. Great customer service. They're similar to the ones from England, but they have the plastic pieces instead of all wood. I get wonderful tension. I use my Lowry, I attach it to my Lowry stand with my large frame adapter, and I love them. Actually, here, I'll show you. I have it right here. So, my Omnic frame, nice sturdy wood. It's a little heavy, so you would have to have some kind of frame, I would think, to make it comfortable to hold. But yeah, or some kind of stand. So that's what I use, Robert. You are very welcome. Okay. So moving on. Sylvia asks, have you ever thought of using needlework as a way to connect with or as a teaching tool for your students? No. I thought about it for a brief second, and then I was like, no, because firstly, my students are, I think it's hard for me to describe the type of students I have because I've talked about it in other videos, such as my Stitch With Me video that I talked about my vocation. And I don't think people really understand the type of students that I have. I have moderate to profoundly disabled students. So keep in mind that the skills that my students have, I'm really teaching very basic skills such as brushing teeth, basic hygiene skills, basic vocational skills. So fine motor skills for such as stitching would be a challenge. So as much as I think it would be therapeutic for my students, I don't think they would really grasp the concept or have an appreciation for it, and they probably wouldn't have any interest in wanting to do it. So, so yeah, I hope that answers that question. And the last question we have from Facebook says, how do you organize your cross-stitch stash? Boxes, folders, etc. So I have a dresser, like a drawer shelf. It's like a dresser shelf drawer of set of drawers that I purchased from Hobby Lobby a year and a half ago. And I have the majority of my stuff in there. The rest of the stuff right now is sitting in a corner, flowing out from that set of drawers. So I need to organize a little bit better, but I don't have a whole lot of stash. I don't have a whole lot of patterns. So most of the stuff fits in the drawer as well. All of my floss, so all of my DMC is in one of those two-sided bobbinated bobbin boxes, and I have that just sitting on top of on top of that drawer shelf unit. Donna says, sounds like my stitching room. Yeah, well, luckily it's not an entire room. It's just one little corner in my room, which is actually in my bedroom because I don't have a whole lot. I live in a one-bedroom apartment, and I don't have a whole lot of space. So I try to keep it confined to one space so that I can, because I'm an organization freak, and it's really actually bothering me how it's starting to mound up. So I need to start organizing that. But a lot of that is my tamari and my yarn for my knitting. So uh, I wish I could get all my stuff in a dresser, but I have way too much, including yarn and cloth. So I would have a whole room. Yeah, I know. I don't have a whole lot. Of course, it's starting to grow, and I may have to do something more. But at this time, that's all I have. I'm trying to keep it limited. But so, Sam asks, do I have any interest in crochet? No, not really at this time. I have lots of my grandmother crochets, and I have a plethora of blankets from her that she has crocheted for me over the years. So I am enjoying knitting, and that is actually taking up a lot of my time right now, more so than I thought it would. So I don't really have the time or the interest in adding another hobby at this time. Would I do crochet at some time down the road? I'm not going to say no, because never say never. But at this time, I don't think so. Plus, I like the look of knitting better now, minus my grandmother's blankets, because nothing can be wrong. Nothing can be better than my grandmother's blankets. Hi, Grandma. You're probably watching, or will be at some point in time. Any questions? Because I answered all the questions from Facebook. Any other questions? Anything is open for discussion. If I missed anything from earlier, please let me know, because it's hard to answer the questions, talk, and read the stream. So I'm 6 foot tall, Sam. Thank you for asking. Hi, Christine. Gio is fine. I didn't see him yet today, so he must not have. He didn't want to weather the rain. I'm guessing, so he probably stayed in his tree all day. But he was very well yesterday, and his buddy has some questioning to do because he's eating my pansies off of my plants, the flowers. So I've had questions, not sure if they came through. If they were on Facebook, I answered all the questions, and you can watch it later. Hi. Wish you were coming to StitchCon. Yeah, I know. That's way too many people for me, though. I would be overwhelmed by the amount of people in one room. I do not work in a public school, Heather. I work for a private school that focuses on primarily students with autism, but also multiply disabled students. Mindy, I'm willing to knit socks, but I'm not there yet. No, I will not give you hints on the next design, but I will give you a hint. My goal is that it will be out next week. So I'm hoping the new design will be out next week. I am on hold to get it stitched up and ready to go for my model, because I'm waiting on fabric that I don't have, and my LNS didn't have any, so I had to order some. So, lovely postal service I have to wait for. So, Trish asks, did your brother enjoy his planets you stitched for him? Yes, he did. He has them hanging on his wall. I would love to come to Glasgow, Scotland for a retreat, but then I wouldn't want to be sitting in the retreat, because I'd rather be out sightseeing. I think I answered that question last week, because that was one of my questions about would I be interested in going to like the Royal School of Needlework? And I would rather sightsee because I'm that type of I like to explore everything. So yep, definitely would love to come to Scotland. I will look into that. Maybe I will make an appearance someday soon. Um, if so, okay, so getting back to the socks, yes, I realize I'm not that far away from socks because I knit a hat. I'm not ready to knit socks because I have some other projects lined up already, um, which I will discuss in my next knitting update on Thursday. Robert said he would like to go to a retreat sometime in the future. Was it a good time for you for the retreat you attended? Yes, and I can't wait to go back in October when I go to Minnesota again. I like the retreat. I personally like smaller retreats because I get overwhelmed with a lot of people. I don't like big crowds and a lot of people and a lot of noise. So I like the smaller, more intimate groups. Um, Yeah, and I really had a lot of fun, and it's worth it because I don't have stitching friends within close proximity to me. So for me to all of my stitching friends, meaning cross stitching friends, live in other states. So for me to stitch with them, I have to get on FaceTime or Skype or one of those things to do. And it's hard to time it just because, of different time zones and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, I get to text and all, but it's not the same. So, even if it's only one time a year on a weekend, it's really nice to get together with people and stitch and talk about that and look over their shoulder and see what they're doing. And, it's kind of fun. I liked it. So, okay. Okay, so X stitching leopard, blah blah blah. X stitching leopard asks, what I'm David. I knew that David asks. He's asking about the trees on my left and right. Are they decorated all year? No, they're Christmas trees that I bought at Walmart years and years and years ago, and I keep them up all year because they have my garden gnomes displayed underneath them. Garden gnomes and mushrooms. So, okay. I do not particularly prefer primitive stitching. However, my tastes are always readjusting. So I'm not going to say it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I prefer more of the realistic looking, lifelike, detailed quality pictures. That's my style at the moment. Um, I prefer historical. So no, prim is not really my style, Elisa. Thank you. I love my gnomes. and my mushrooms. The bonsai tree is here. I am hoping to get it trimmed up maybe this weekend. If so, I will have a video for you. Maybe next Monday. Don't hold me to that. I tell you, I'm still kind of anxious about trimming the tree. I don't know why. I jump in head first with everything else, but for some reason, I'm anxious about trimming the tree. Here's the bonsai though. Still growing, still doing well. So I will get there soon. I don't mind it growing out a bit because I'm not exactly sure how I want to trim it yet. So I might want it to grow up a little bit more before I decide. I'm not sure how I want to do the styling anyways. So bye, Christine. See you later. So any last questions before we head out? I hope this was fun. I enjoy doing this. That's why I felt like doing it again this week. Next week, I'm not going to do one next week. So this is not going to be a regular thing. I just thought, if we had any leftover questions from last week, or maybe people that didn't get to participate last week because it was too early for them, if you're on the West Coast or Central time zone or whatever, because of work, I wanted to make sure that people could participate timing. So, or if it's 1:40 a.m. in Scotland, that you could participate. So make sure that you're checking out. I think next time I do one of these, I will post on my Instagram the feed for where you can post questions. So be thinking about questions if you have any for me. And yeah. So I missed something. What is the Off the Grid group about? You mean on Facebook? The Friday night stitching, the Friday what do we call that group? La la la, because I'm horrible at remembering what that group is called. The Friday Off the Grid. Friday Off the Grid is a group of stitchers who it's 24/7 now, but it's people who want to post and talk about cross stitch and stay positive about their cross stitching and encourage each other about their cross stitch. But it started over Caroline and her Off the Grid Needle Arts podcast wanting to do a Friday night stitching, which was in your time zone stitching from 6 p.m. to midnight. So now that has evolved into a 24/7 posting all the time type thing, which is awesome. But primarily it is for people to get together in their time zone and have a designated time to stitch on a Friday night and to get lots of stitching done and to enjoy the craft and to talk about it in their group. So definitely, if you're not part of the group, you need to go join because it's fun, and stay positive and have positive vibes and be around people who want to talk about positive things about the group, about the craft. So, and that's what I like about the group so much, is because most of the people don't stitch what I like to stitch. And I like to see different things, and you get so much encouragement and enthusiasm about your posts. So, yep. Okay. How are the migraines? They're wonderful because I haven't seen one for a while. Go to the doctor's this Friday, so I'm looking forward to that, seeing what the doctor has to say. Angela asks, do you use a magnifier? I do not use a magnifier. I have pretty good eyesight at the moment, so I'm able to stitch without a magnifier. So, okie dokie. Well, I want to thank you all for participating. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you come back next time I do one. And I will see you on Wednesday for my update. And don't forget, be creative. See you later. Have a good night.